Hey everybody, this is Mike Turner with ADJ. I've got Chase Martin here with Aldridge Marketing, and today we're going to talk about IP rated fixtures. So first of all, I just wanted to take a brief moment to say thank you and offer our condolences to all the production companies right now that are really struggling to find work in this industry. We want to say that we think that when this comes back, it's likely that a lot of that is going to start out first with outdoor rated fixtures, mainly because we feel that social distancing is a little bit easier to do in an outdoor event than it might be inside of a nightclub or something indoors. So we wanted to kind of take some time to show you guys some of the fixtures that can really kind of offer you a lot of excitement and a lot of protected equipment where you don't have to worry about bagging the lights up for the event. So first of all, I kind of want to start off talking a little bit. Oh, by the way, you see a little bit of that over there, Chase? You want to, yeah. That may or may not get sprayed on the lights a little bit later. I don't know. We'll see how we're feeling.
I mean, as you can see, so we're outside right now. We're in Austin, Texas. It's coming down right now. It's raining. And so, yeah, these lights have been out here for a little over an hour as we've been getting set up. So, yeah, we're going to run through all the IP rated fixtures here. Take it away, Mike.
All right. So first, let's talk a little bit about the IP rating and what that actually means. So first of all, IP stands for ingress protection. This is a rating system that basically discusses or kind of rates the various types of materials that could enter in a piece of electronics. So of course, in our industry, we're talking about specifically concert lighting and things of that nature. So anyhow, I'm going to go ahead and pull up this chart and I'll kind of share the screen here and we can kind of go over what they mean. And that way we can kind of all learn a little bit together. Okay. So first of all, if you look to the left side of this chart, those all reference your solid. Okay. If you look to the right side of this chart, you'll see that those all reference the amount of moisture that can enter inside of a fixture. So when you hear terms like IP65 or IP54, it's not necessarily referencing the number after 53 or the number before 66. It's actually two numbers that are side by side that tell the user what kind of protection this fixture has against external particulates. So I'll go over the left side just very briefly. Okay, so something with a 0 on the name means there's no protection whatsoever. That basically means you could put your fingers inside this thing and that can kind of cause some problems. As you notice, we start to kind of go up the line. The higher the number, the more protected it is against solid matter getting inside. So I want to highlight number 2, right? Because most indoor rated fixtures are going to be rated IP20. 2 meaning there's not a whole lot of things that could get inside the fixture, but there might be some vents for the fans or something like that, so dust could possibly get inside. But it's not like a marble or a Lego is going to get stuck inside the light or anything like that. And again, going back to IP20, you'll notice the second number being a 0, which means there's no protection from moisture whatsoever. So that means that things like condensation building up on the light or any sort of moisture that might get on that light, that particular fixture doesn't have any sort of protection for that whatsoever. So just kind of keep in mind, most indoor rated fixtures are going to be an IP20 fixture. Okay. Now, as we go down the line on the solids, you'll notice as the number increases, it gets to a point where there's no matter, no actual hard, physical matter that can actually get inside the light. So I want to kind of bring your attention down to the 5 and the 6. So that's really kind of where a lot of fixtures are going to be in outdoor rated fixtures for entertainment lighting, because that really means they're going to be dust proof. There's not a whole lot that can get inside. Now let's bounce over to the moisture side. So if you look at the moisture, I'm not going to spend too much time with anything below 4. And the reason being, IP54 is a common rating that you might see in outdoor rated fixtures. Now, I know what we see more often than not is 65, but right now I'm going to talk about IP54. So what that means is the fixture is mostly protected from solids. There's very little that could actually get in there. And then when it comes to the moisture, you'll notice the number 4 means that it's protected from, very soft jets of water from all directions. So I'm going to give you an example of how that applies to one of the ADJ products and some of the other products out there on the market. So IP54 might be, for instance, our Element Hex Ip series. That is an IP54 rated fixture. So what that means, and again, let's keep in mind that fixture was designed to be an uplight for weddings or outdoor events. So imagine there's a wedding happening and you've got these fixtures that are kind of surrounding the outdoor facility patio. Or patio, yeah, something along those lines. And for whatever reason, it starts to rain. Or maybe during the reception when most of the guests are inside, the sprinkler system comes on at the event venue that you're renting and these lights start to get wet. As long as the light or the water comes from pretty much everything other than underneath it, it's going to be, yeah, it's going to be protected. For instance, on the Element Hex IP, there's a magnetized door that when you flip it open, that's where you can actually plug the cable in to charge the fixture and press some of the buttons. But there's a gasket on there and there's magnets so that when the fixture's in use, that door really kind of stays closed so that it's pretty hard for water to get in there unless you were really, really trying. So at the end of the day, that would probably stand up to any sort of drink spillage, any sort of sprinkler spray, any sort of rain, anything along those lines, you should be protected. And now I'm going to talk about IP65, which is what the largest portion of entertainment lighting ingress protection is going to be rated at. So the 5 means I could take jets of water from all directions. So what does that really mean? Well, now we're talking about a little bit heavier rain. We're talking about the fixture itself for all intents and purposes is pretty much sealed, right? So it's pretty hard for water to get in there. What that doesn't mean is that the fixture can be submerged in any way, shape, or form. So it can't be underwater at any point or any time, but the way it's designed is that water is going to have a real hard time trying to get inside there. So that's great for temporary outdoor use. It's great for permanent outdoor use if maybe it's under an eave or something along those lines, because the fixture is sealed in such a way that it would be very hard for moisture or condensation to build up internally that could damage the internal components of the fixture. So, and then, going on to IP66, that's, high levels of jets of water. So that could mean, taking a hose and putting your finger over the end and spreading it real hard and real heavy, that sort of thing, real heavy rain. That sort of thing is IP66. And then anything above 66 is going to allow some elements of complete submersion, based on the parameters that you see on the screen. So just kind of keep that in mind. So again, to recap, most indoor rated fixtures are going to be IP20. Most outdoor rated fixtures are going to be IP54 or 65 or greater. At the ADJ family of companies, we have another company called Elation, which has a lot of IP65 rated fixtures in their line as well. And we also have Acclaim Lighting, which has some fixtures that are IP66 and IP67 for permanent architecture installations at hotels and things like that. So when you get a chance, look those up as well. But what we're going to talk about is really our industry, the event rental industry. In fact, we're going to go back to showing the fixtures here. So we're talking about the event rental industry. We're talking about outdoor stages. We're talking about outdoor events such as weddings or corporate picnics, things along those lines, outdoor concerts, festivals, things of those lines. Now, the other thing that I kind of want to talk about here is the way that these fixtures get power and data, right? Because again, we're in the entertainment industry. So most of the time, we're not going to just set forget. We're going to actually control these with the DMX controller. So what's awesome is technology has evolved to a point where in the past, IP rated fixtures used to have proprietary cable whips, which means it was a special cable connector that only worked with your fixture to create a very strong seal between the power and data. And the only problem with this is that if for some reason something went wrong with one of those cable whips or the proprietary cables, it's not something that you could go to your local AV store and just find on the shelf. It's something that you'd probably have to order directly from the manufacturer. So that posed some problems if there was ever an issue with the cable. Well, now the industry's evolved. Everything is really just kind of growing where IP rated fixtures are a lot more affordable. They're a lot more available. And the IP rated portion of this product line expands to virtually everything now. In fact, you'll see I've got some moving heads behind me right now, which to be honest, that's very new in the whole outdoor rated world of technology when it comes to lighting. So now We use something that is a little black and yellow type cable. I don't know if you can see it where you're at. It looks kind of like a traditional power con, but basically what it does is the way it connects to the fixture, it doesn't allow for any sort of moisture to get in there. So again, that's not a proprietary cable. That's kind of become the industry standard. All of these fixtures use that. Even some of the fixtures from our competitors, I believe, use that. It's become an industry standard, which makes it very, very easy for the production companies who are using these to have, you know, these cables in bulk, so that if something goes wrong during a show or they need to connect two cables together to make a longer cable run, they can. So that's wonderful. The other part that's nice is the connectors on the fixture that we have used to allow the DMX cabling go in have gotten a lot more robust. They've gotten to a point where they virtually create a seal. And if you think about the way an XLR cable goes into a fixture, it goes inside about a ½ inch anyway. So it makes it pretty hard for water to get in there. So with that being said, we've pretty much minimized a lot of the things that make using IP rated fixtures a little bit more challenging. So some could argue, depending on the nature of your business, it might be best to have nothing but IP rated fixtures, because then you just don't have to worry. And that's part of what we want to get across with this video. We want people to think a little bit outside of the box, because again, a lot of this technology is a little newer. So we haven't had these options to do things like we have before. So in kind of going through that, I want to talk about some of the applications where these fixtures are going to be really, really helpful. Okay, so think about theme parks, right? You know, a lot of people go to these theme parks at night. Think about SeaWorld. You know, there's a lot going on there with water. They're usually kind of down by the ocean. There's a lot of things going on. Here in Texas, there's a project I worked on with Six Flags where some of our Hydro Beam X2s were actually sold to the New England Six Flags to use for a show that was more seasonal, but they've actually used those year round now because they don't really have to worry about whether or not it rains and how that whole thing works. I know that Legoland, we've kind of been working with them a little bit on getting some fixtures that can make it a little bit less worrisome if it starts to rain during the evening when the park is open and they're using these lights.
It makes the fixture just a lot more versatile, you know, instead of it just being an indoor fixture. It makes it worth the extra little investment to have an IP rated fixture that somebody like a theme park could take around and use for multiple different applications.
Yeah. Another aspect that I kind of wanted to point out is we're actually seeing a large trend of these outdoor rated static fixtures being used for indoor rated applications. And some people might think, well, that doesn't really make sense. Well, it kind of does, right? Think about a black box theater, something where silence is a big deal, or even a smaller church where, I mean, you can hear every little sound in that room. Well, when you've got several LED fixtures that are high powered that require a fan to keep the internal components cool, one fixture by itself may not be noticeable, but if you put 12 to 24 of them in that ceiling, and depending on how low that ceiling is and how loud the ambient HVAC is, it could actually create an audible disruption that could cause problems. So to give you an example, we're seeing a lot of people using outdoor rated fixtures for indoor applications because a large portion of outdoor rated fixtures, not all of them, but a large portion of them use a heat dissipation system instead of a fan. Because the fixture is usually made out of metal and they're going to have a larger fixture, it's going to be a little bit heavier. They have different ways that they can take heat off the LED driver without using a fan. So what that means is that you get a bunch of fixtures that are very high powered that don't have any ambient fan noise to create any sort of ambient hum in the room. So we're seeing a huge trend in that.
We find that really popular with churches. You know, it takes a little bit of, training and explaining the knowledge behind the lighting fixture itself. But that tends to be a big problem in churches is just overall noise generated by the audio and lighting system in general. Once you start adding more and more equipment, the noise floor builds. And so when you introduce something like an IP rated fixture that has a convection cooling system or some kind of dissipation kind of cooling system other than a fan, like Mike said, it really does start to add up when you have multiple fixtures going across the entire sanctuary.
Yeah. And, you know, I kind of wanted to point out too, a significant portion of our customer base are involved with nightclubs or indoor entertainment facilities. And I'm just going to tell you a quick little story about a time before I was working with ADJ. where I was actually running the lighting system for a nightclub Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. And so it was my job really to kind of maintain their whole system and make sure everything ran right, as well as run the light show when the night was kind of going. And this was a 2-level nightclub. And what would happen is the VIP section was upstairs, which meant that the VIP section was somewhat level to the big trussing system where a large portion of the moving headlights were mounted. And as you know, in some nightclubs, sometimes they get going crazy. We've all seen it where they're making it rain with the money. They've got confetti poppers, things of that nature. I've actually seen it where champagne has been sprayed up in the air over the audience and it actually got onto the lights. The reason I'm bringing this up is the particular lights that venue had started having a lot of problems about 6 months after the peak season. And so we took all the lights down and we took them in to get serviced. And when the company opened them up, they were just caked with fog residue. There was some sticky champagne in there. I mean, literally, you could smell it and tell that it was champagne. There were bits of confetti that were stuck into the lights, even little pieces of dollar bills. I'm not kidding. I know that sounds kind of crazy, but where I'm going with all this was an indoor application where the lights were subject to outdoor or extreme moisture type situations. Now, what ended up happening is it ended up costing more to repair those lights for that venue than it would have for them to just simply replace them. So I kind of took that knowledge, and now that I'm with ADJ and this whole part of our industry is evolving, it's actually become very, very fruitful for an application such as that nightclub to use outdoor rated fixtures for their indoor lighting system. Because heaven forbid someone does spray champagne or all the fog residue that builds up in that application or the confetti or anything that happens, these fixtures are sealed. So you're not going to have to worry about that. The amount of maintenance that you have to do on an outdoor rated moving headlight is pretty minimal, mainly because the interior optic system is virtually sealed. In fact, on most of our lights, it's vacuum sealed. So there's not a whole lot that can get in there, not anything to really damage the fixture. So not only does the person in that scenario get the availability of having their fixture last a lot longer, but there's a lot less that they'll have to do while they're owning those fixtures. So that's one aspect. Another aspect to think of for more of the production world is think about a lot of these glow parties, a lot of these raves, these huge outdoor festivals where they're doing more than just having a rock show, or maybe it rains overnight while you're setting up. I can't tell you how many times I've been on a festival scene like ACL or something like that. And of course that happens in October here. And it's just kind of funny because at night you see all the stage crew guys running up to the stage to put bags over the lights. Those are the days of the old. Now we're able to do something like what you're seeing here, and you no longer have to bag the lights if it rains overnight, or if that particular show is doing confetti or glow paint or anything like that. The production company can literally just spray those lights with the hose after the event and they're fine. So that's one part to talk about. I apologize, guys. I do have a little bit of a cough. No, it's not the COVID. I'm in Texas where pollen is crazy right now and my allergies are going nuts. But this video is important. I wanted to make sure I was here to do it for you guys. So if we can. So right now, I want to kind of explain a little bit of the fixture line that we have that kind of covers all the bases that ADJ try to cover with our IP rated series. If you can, let's go ahead and go to Jake with some of the lights, and then we'll kind of go over the different series that ADJ offers to, for the various parts of our industry. Are we able to switch, Jake? Might take a little second.
Yeah, we're switched. We're here. What do you want to look at?
Oh, sorry. I just can't see it on my end. I'm a goof troop.
No
So I want to talk about the Hex IP series, right? This is something that ADJ has had for quite some time. The Hex IP series has had a lot of success for us in the indoor rated version. So it was only natural that we wanted to release something that was an outdoor rated version as well. And so the Hex IP series comes in a Hex 7 IP, a Hex 12 IP, and a Hex 18 IP. So each of those LEDs are going to be Hex LEDs. So that's RGB, AW plus UV. Each of those chips are getting 12 watts of power to each of them. So you've got 7, 12, and 18. So depending on your need, or maybe even the size of the fixture that fits your application, we've pretty much got you covered for that. Those fixtures feature a True One style or C-Tronic IP65 power in and through. Recently, we've updated them to have 5-pin because we've had a lot of success in that industry or that part of our business with the production companies who want to use the 5-pin cable. You can run those fixtures in standalone, or of course you can put them in your rig and control them. I just want to make one little note is the Hex 7 IP. That one's actually pretty awesome because that fits perfectly inside of a 12-inch box truss. So if you're using those for truss toners or anything like that, it's a fantastic fixture for that.
Is that the 12?
Looks like that's the 12 on the video right there.
Yeah.
One of the other things that we've done with this is we've updated the logic on these lights. You can actually probably go to our website or reach out to your local ADJ rep to get the file that you need to do the upload to where it actually has a variable white color temp built in. So not only are these fixtures going to do different color changing applications, they could also act for general illumination of faces or various types of color temp and white that you might want. The next series that I wanted to talk about, if you can, Jake, is our Encore Burst series. Let's see if we can kind of scoot over towards that. Looks like he's getting there. So the Encore Burst series originally started for ADJ to fulfill the need for outdoor rated LED blinder effects. Any of you guys who've ever been to a big outdoor concert, one of the funnest, more fun and sometimes even annoying, depending on how you want to look at it, is when the lights shine out towards you as the audience and you get to see the sea of people that you're surrounded, and it really just intensifies the mood of the song and everything else that's going on. And so we originally started with the Encore Burst 200 IP. So that was a fixture that was basically an LED version of the traditional Molfe effect. You get 210 watt warm white LEDs in there. That fixture is IPX4. So what that means is that fixture is not so good with dust. So you wouldn't want it in a dust area, but it can definitely handle the water. So if you were putting them out on an outdoor stage, it would be more than sufficient to handle any rain or anything like that that was happening. So that again is the Encore Burst 200 IP. After seeing a little bit of success from that fixture, we decided to expand that line to the Encore Burst 100 series. The Encore Burst 100 is effectively the same type of fixture, except it's a single unit housing. And when we did that, we decided to put that in more of a par 56 style housing, mainly because it would look better on stage and it can kind of fill two purposes. This fixture is awesome because it features a 110 watt COB LED with a dim to warm technology. So it looks just like a normal incandescent bulb. It's fantastic. And then of course, with that having some success, everyone said, man, this is great, but I really wish you had this in a RGB color changing effect. So of course, we decided to offer that in a RGBW version. Now these fixtures are fantastic because they have a 50-degree beam angle, which means they can cover a very large area very evenly. We also offer a barn door accessory for that if that's something that you need to kind of cut the light so it's not bleeding into areas of your stage that you don't need. Pardon me, guys. And then lastly in that series, we also have a dedicated UV fixture. So the Encore Burst UV is very, very unique because it's an LED UV fixture that features a 365 nanometer LED. So what that really means, without going into too much detail, that's true blacklight. That's the kind of blacklight that will make virtually everything that would normally react to blacklight glow really, really well, with offering very little, if any, ambient light in the room. So people love those for theme parks, for applications like scare rooms or escape rooms and things like that, where they want things to glow, but they don't want the participants to see the light. You know, that whole thing is just fantastic. It's definitely worth checking out. I mean, if you hold your driver's license up to it, you're going to see things in your driver's license that you would never see. It's kind of like what the guys see at the airport. So that's
like Jake mentioned, I think it was last week, though, this is not medical grade UV, though, not to get confused with a lot of terminology and people talking about different UV lights out there right now for the COVID. This is not that. This is production UV.
And I just wanted to point something out that we actually learned today when we were setting these up in the rain. So one of the things you don't want to happen with an IP rated fixture is for water to pool up on various parts of the fixture, because over time that can actually deteriorate the seals that are on there. So on this fixture, oh, well, he can't really see it. It's no big deal.
You can.
In any case, I don't know if you could see it towards the bottom. There's a little hole there where water can actually trickle out, so it doesn't pull up on the front of that light. So a really, really cool feature that was built in that our engineers were definitely thinking about when it came to how is this fixture going to last and what applications this fixture is going to fulfill. The next series that I wanted to talk about, if we can, is our 15 Hex Bar IP. Now, this fixture is fantastic. When you think about linear wall washers or anything of that nature, you want something that's going to be a longer light with some pixel control. So just like our Hex IP series, on the 15 Hex Bar, you get 15 12-watt hex chip LEDs. It comes with a diffusion plate that you could remove. So if you want to kind of soften the beam angle and kind of blend the colors a little bit better, you can. It also has a very robust Sherlock system so that when you're putting these around the room, it will actually lock into place, and it actually tells you the little degrees on the light, which makes it very, very convenient when it comes to making sure all your lights are at the same angle against the wall for uplighting. That fixture is just phenomenal. You get 5 sections that you can control the pixels of in 3, and that's quickly become one of my favorite fixtures. We've actually had several production companies, or at least in my territory I can speak on, that have really kind of bought heavy into that because it's just a great, great fixture for area lighting at big festivals and for everything that they need to do. And because it's got such a robust build quality, it's something they can depend on. So that's the Hex IP. And earlier I spoke about the Element Hex IP fixture. We talked about that a little bit. Again, that's a wireless battery powered uplight that's IP54. So again, you don't have to worry about whether or not that gets wet. That's going to be great for you. And then the last part I want to move on to, which is relatively new for us, I believe it started towards the earlier part of last year, is our Hydro series. Now, the Hydro series is pretty much revolutionary. I mean, honestly, I want to say it was like 2 years ago. There was only maybe one company on the market that was providing IP-rated, outdoor-rated moving head fixtures. And it's a very... it's a large investment, I'll say that, because there's a lot of engineering that has to go into that fixture to make it fully outdoor rated so that you can depend on it. And one of the things that ADJ is very proud of is we've taken a lot of that engineering and we put it in a very affordable package. And right now I don't have all of them with me, but Jake's got some of them in the showroom. So the Hydro series is a series of outdoor rated moving head fixtures. They share some similarities throughout the entire series, and then they have some differences, right? So in the Hydro series, they're all going to have full color touch displays here. They're all going to have 5-pin in and out, and they're all going to use an outdoor rated power in and through. And the series has just been expanding so fast. So if you look on the screen here, you'll kind of see how they're going. So I'll start off with the fixture that I don't have here in front of me, and you might want to get ready to queue up that part here in a second. Pardon me. So we start off with the Hydro Beam X2. This fixture is fantastic. This fixture features a 370 watt Osram LL lamp. So it's a very high powered fixture that's going to be a beam. I mean, it's for those of you who are more familiar with the Philips R series, it's probably equivalent to like a 16 or 18R if that helps you. But in any case, it's just super high powered, packed with features. It's got Wi-Fi wireless DMX built in. I mean, it's got 2 different types of prism, both linear and circular. Surprisingly, for a beam, though, it's actually got replaceable rotating gobos with a motorized focus built in. So you could use this for long throw gobo projection if you wanted. When you use those prism, I mean, the thing just lights up the sky. I mean, it's virtually one of those searchlights that you see at the car dealership or at big events. So we're very, very proud of it. And in fact, Jake, I don't know if you can hear me.
See, you show it after.
I'll show it after.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, you can? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to take over the screen for a second. I want to show them something I did in my backyard when I first got my...
Okie dokie. Give us 1 second.
All right. All right. Let's see here. So we took over the screen. Just give us 1 second, guys.
We're switching right now. Go ahead, Mike.
All right, cool. So in my backyard here in Austin, Texas, when I first got my Hydro Beam X2 sample, I really wanted to get an idea of how powerful this fixture was. So this photo that you're seeing is me using the 8-facet circular prism literally from my back door in my backyard. I don't have any haze or any sort of atmospheric effects that are going on. This is just using the fixture at night and just showing how powerful that beam is. Now, for those of you who have used beams before, whether they're outdoor or not, Usually you lose a little bit of the output when you put in the prism because it's interrupting the optical path. But as you can see in this picture, I mean, it's having no problem throwing probably miles in the air. And it would probably project a lot further if that night weren't cloudy. This next picture we're showing you, I took the prism out and I'm just doing just kind of the beam without any sort of color or any sort of gobos in there. But basically what I did is I set it up in my backyard and I just kind of aimed it at the sky. And I thought to myself, how well could this really work for that searchlight type effect? Or how big would this look at a big outdoor festival? So I literally drove across the street from the housing development where I'm at, and then about 1.5 miles as far as I could get in the housing development that was across the way. And when I did that, I was probably a good 3 miles away from my backyard. And so what you're seeing is me standing on my tailgate, taking a picture of the light about 3 miles away. And I don't know if you can tell, I mean, you could see that clear as day. The thing is just super, super, super powerful. Now, Chase, if you can, we're going to go ahead and go back to your studio if you can. Or not Chase,
Jake.
Jake, sorry. Got too many people here with me. So so now we step down a little bit from the X2 when we go to the Hydro Beam X1. Most of the features are the same with a couple differences. So we go from a 370 watt lamp that's in the X2 down to a 100 watt lamp that's in the X1. So this is very, very similar to an outdoor rated version of our VisiBeam RX1. So instead of having 2 prisms, you have 1 prism that's 16 facet, which makes fantastic aerial effects. You've got the color wheel, you've got static gobos that don't rotate, but the way that the optics work on this particular system, you don't even have to worry about focusing it. And it's just a high-powered powerhouse. And I actually have this one right here behind me. So if you look at it, I mean, it's raining. Here, let me kind of shake that here. I don't know if you were able to see it. But I've got it here
Yeah,
behind
we saw
me.
it. We switched back to you, Mike.
Sorry, guys. I'm kind of a train wreck when it comes to this back and forth stuff. Learning the tech, guys. Learning the tech. But anyhow, I have the Hydro Beam X1 behind me. As you can see, it's very compact when you compare it to the size of my hand. This particular fixture is completely sealed. There's no ports for any sort of fans or anything like that. So this would be a great fixture to add to any sort of like nightclub environment or any sort of like concert in the park production or anything along those lines. I mean, it's just perfect. And the price point on this is really, really low. And I'm sure you will include some pricing in the comments below.
Same thing about the build quality.
Oh, yeah. So, and these fixtures, there's no plastic on these guys. They're all made out of a die-cast metal housing. And you probably can't tell, but on the top here, you'll see these little ports. And again, that's so that if any water builds up on the top, it'll actually just kind of trickle down and not pull up on there as well.
Yep.
And I'm going to start here. I'm going to end up going back to you, Jake, here in a second, but I'm actually going to talk about the Hydrawatch X7. So to complement our moving head beam fixtures, of course, the other thing that you're going to need that's important with the stage is an outdoor rated moving head wash. And so right now we're showing you the Hydro Beam X7. The reason why it's called the X7 is you get 7 LEDs that are 40 watts a piece. So you got about 280 watts of LED power coming from this. You've also got full pixel control. So all you pixel junkies that want to do some really fun stuff with this, you have full control over all the pixels. You also have a 10 to 60 degree zoom. So what that means is you can go from, you know, colorizing an entire stage and just kind of getting that whole area to highlighting a very specific point of interest. And when you have a fixture that zooms in as tight as 10 degrees, that's almost like a beam. So it's going to cut through any sort of fog or haze that you have on your stage, and it will kind of contribute to a lot of the symmetrical looks that you might be building on stage. Now, since we've got this on Jake, the next one I want to show you, and guys, this is going to be shipping, I believe, early June, if I'm not mistaken. It's a Hydro Beam X19. This thing is just crazy, crazy powerful. So it's virtually the same thing as this, but with a lot more horsepower. So you go from 7 LEDs in the Hydro X7 to 19 40-watt LEDs in the Hydrawatch X19. That's 19 40-watt LEDs. That's 760 total watts of LED power. That is more than sufficient for most outdoor festival stages. It does feature the same zoom ratio of 10 to 60 degrees. And on that fixture as well, you have full pixel control as well. On the back, because we know it's it caters so well to the pixel market, you do have RJ45 inputs as well that will allow you to put that into sort of your pixelated video softwares to do some really fun stuff with that as well. In the X19, by the way, all the Hydro series fixtures all have Wi-Fi wireless DMX built in as well. So most applications, it's best to use a cable if you can. But if you find yourself in a situation where it just doesn't make sense to run cable or you can't, just know that it's got the receiver built in, and all you need is a Wi-Fi transmitter or a controller, and you can control those with that as well. So we've pretty much got you covered when it comes to the IP rated industry. We've got static washes. We have moving head fixtures. We have LED bars. We have most everything that you could really kind of think of. And so I thought to myself, what is a way to really show our viewers what an IP65 rated moving head fixture really means? What are some of the things that it can really handle? And so with that being said,
Real world application.
I decided that based off of my experience that I had back when I was working for that nightclub, I thought to myself, you know, how cool would it have been to be able to have these kind of fixtures available for that club owner to buy? And of course, now we do, but he's going to want to know before he makes the investment that these things are going to handle the outdoor, you know, the rigors that his club audience is going to put in it. So I thought to myself, what better way to do that than to recreate the experience of what you'd expect from a Lil Wayne and just spray the lights as much as I can. As you can see, guys, these are getting covered, and so are Chase's windows. Just so we know, up in the club, getting crazy with our champagne on our outdoor rated lights. Let's get you too, Bubba. Yep.
But can it handle beer?
Well, I mean, I'm pretty sure it can handle beer because, you know, they're outside at a wedding or at a big concert, and you get some drunk guy who decides to spill his beer, and so, oops, let's get some beer on these lights as well. Gotta warn it, you guys. These lights should be pretty drunk right about now. I mean, they've got a whole bottle of champagne, and they've had some of Texas's finest. So let's go ahead and just, you know, give them a little bit of a bath, right? Because, you know, we can't just leave them like that. So we got Chase over here with the hose, just kind of hosing them off. Take your little bath. As you can see, guys, they're working very, very, very well. They're not having any problems. I'll probably continue to rinse them off a little bit later again because I wouldn't be surprised if some of that champagne's still all over them. But in any case, what I wanted you to see is, again, these guys can handle it. It's worth the investment. It's worth to have this kind of equipment that you don't have to worry about what can happen no matter what kind of event that you're having. And on that note, I also don't want to forget our LED video walls as well. Currently, ADJ offers a 4.8 millimeter AV4 IP panel. That is an IP54 fix, or it's IP54 on the back because you could remove the connectors in the way it's designed, and it's IP65 in the front, which means we could have done the same thing with that panel. I don't recommend it at all. Please note that this is a disclaimer. Do not do what I just did. It will probably handle it, but it could handle it.
And talking about the video wall, the AV4 IP, also we found a lot of people using it for indoor applications as well, mainly because of the brightness that is available in the AV4 IP. In some church applications or indoor applications with a lot of ambient lights and windows, all that sunlight and at the peak time of when you're trying to either use a projector or use a standard video wall can still get washed out. And that's where an outdoor rated video wall can really be the best for the application, because you can crank it up and get over that brightness. So
yeah. Well, and on Chase's note, that's something else when it comes to LED video. Yes, the ability for the panels to get rained on is a pretty important factor, but also brightness, like he just said. In an outdoor application with video, we're 99 times out of 100, we're competing with the ambient sunlight that's in that particular event, which can make it very hard to see a screen, which is why LED video is so important, because it doesn't share a lot of the downfalls that even the most fanciest projector would normally have. And just to kind of bring up a point, with all this stuff that's going on, it's wonderful to go on Facebook and look at the different things that our customers are doing to combat with everything that's going on and staying safe. And I've seen a huge trend of these production companies that unfortunately aren't getting as much business as they deserve with regards to not being able to put on a concert. So they're renting their video walls to different city municipalities to do an outdoor drive-through video experience. I mean, literally, they're setting up these big outdoor rated videos, and people can stay in their cars. So they're maintaining their 6-foot distance. They're not spreading germs, and they can watch movies. So just a little idea to throw that out there to some of you customers out there that actually have the outdoor rated videos. It might be something you want to contact your local city or something like that to see if that's a way that you can kind of pick up some business in these trying times. So,
hey Jake, is there any questions that we have?
No, not very many questions.
Questions on any of the fixtures?
No questions.
Nope, no questions.
No
I figured I'd get some questions when I poured booze on the lights.
People were like, "Oh no, it's gonna be so sticky." Oh, but no.
We're gonna continue to hose them down. I just don't want to waste valuable Facebook time here to waste on that. Well, let's talk about a couple other things. So maintenance on some of these fixtures, you guys might ask. For the general, I guess the general way to discuss that with regards to the Hydro series, there's not much that you're going to have to do aside from changing the lamps when it comes to when the lamp goes out. And again, these are 6,000 hour lamps, so you're not going to have to do that anytime soon. When it comes time for that, we'd love for you to reach out to our service department. We'll help you take care of that. If you're a production house that has a lot of these and you're using these quite often and you're going through lamps, semi-regularly, we do offer an IP tester that we can kind of discuss with you if you need more information on that. That way you can actually confirm that the vacuum seal is preserved when you put the light back together and everything else. So again, just reach out to your local ADJ rep or dealer to discuss that if that's something that you need. Trying to think if there's anything else we can kind of talk about.
Jake, is there anything that you want to touch on?
Not necessarily. I mean, we kind of went over all the lights. I think the champagne was the king of the live stream. Not really. You guys covered a good amount. I mean, unless you want to talk a little bit more about our new Hydrawatch X19, because that's the only thing people really haven't seen here. But if you think you've covered it enough.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and kind of we'll go back to it and talk about it. So, at ADJ, we're not here to bash any of the competitors or the other products out there. That's not what we're here to do. I will tell you, though, as part of my job is to understand the other products that are out there and how our products compare against it, whether it's better or worse, so on and so forth, so that when I'm talking to my customers, I can give them an educated, honest response to their questions. And I've done a fair amount of research. There's not a whole lot out there that is more powerful, more output than the Hydrawatch X19. It's 760 watts of LED power in a wash with a huge zoom ratio. I mean, there's just not a whole lot out there. So we're pretty proud of that product. And again, I believe it's going to be shipping either at the end of this month, which depending on when you're watching this video, it's currently May, and possibly early June. Again, of course, reach out to us about that. But again, wireless Wi-Fi DMX built-in, RJ45 inputs, 5-pin DMX in and outs, IP65 rated locking power connector in and out. The fixture is not very heavy. In fact, it's only a little bigger than this in terms of size. 1940 watt Osram LEDs. It's RGBW color mixing, full pixel mapping. I mean, it's got pretty much everything that you could need. And
bells and whistles.
Yeah, I can't really think of much else. I mean, and its little brother here apparently can handle the booze. So you know that it can. So
might be the little brother, but it can hang.
Yeah. So again, guys, just to kind of recap, IP rated fixtures can work very well for indoor applications that you may not have thought you might need them for, again, because they can be very quiet. At least the static fixtures don't have a fan typically. They also work well for indoor applications where maybe there's some stuff that might go down, like at a nightclub. So that's something to kind of keep your eye on. They also work very well for events that you may not have thought you needed outdoor rated lights. Again, you know, an outdoor rated fashion show where maybe the runway is going over a pool. Yes, I've seen that happen. You know, there's just things that you don't think about. And if you have the lighting equipment where you're, for lack of better words, limitless on the opportunities that you can take, that's just going to make your business a lot more money. Or for you, if you're just using it for your own purposes, it's going to make you use your lights in a worry-free environment. In fact, I've used some of mine to light up the house at Christmas, you know, so there's lots of things that you can do. I think about places like where we live here in Texas, where it could be 95 degrees 1 minute and literally pouring down rain the next minute, and then go back to 95 degrees in about 20 minutes. I think about Washington. I think about how it rains almost every day there. I think all these other applications that people have not really taken advantage of the lighting products that are available because the technology just wasn't there. And in the last few years, it's really evolved. And if anything, that's what I want you guys to get out of this video, is we have so many different solutions out there to cover virtually everything that you might need. The doors are wide open for you guys. I guess I'd say the floodgates are wide open.
Yeah, sometimes it just makes sense to make that extra investment into an IP rated fixture for that extra just safety and flexibility when it comes to different applications that you can go into with your fixtures. So we have you covered, like Mike's been saying, at ADJ, everything from bar lights, moving heads, static washes, to the blinders that we offer as well. So
yeah,
check out adj.com.
Yeah, and just we have an actual IP rated section on our webpage. So if you've looked at some of the fixtures today and you can't remember the names, there's actually a section on our webpage you can click on, and it'll show you everything we offer that's IP rated. It'll tell you whether it's 65 or 54 or vice versa. And again, this chart that I showed in the beginning of the video, if you just Google IP rating chart, I mean, it'll come up if you're really curious about what these mean. But again, IP65, it can handle medium jets of water from all directions. It's virtually dust proof. You just can't completely submerge it. So anyhow, I'm Mike Turner, Regional Sales Manager for ADJ, Look, I've been watching way too much YouTube. Coming to you out of Austin, Texas. This is Chase Martin here from Aldridge Marketing, the local rep here. And again, thanks for watching ADJ and our IP rated video. And do not pour champagne on your lights.
Thanks, folks.
Have a good one.
Yep.